Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirk Cast. As always, we're your hosts Jimbo and Calvinator, and we'll be discussing lots of updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last week or so. But before we kick off today's episode, one important note, as we always like to say, and you're probably fed up with us saying it for 73 or even 74 weeks in a row now, none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Calvert, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I went on a little scouting trip in Italy. I also had my birthday last Friday and I got some merch, WenDirk merch, for the first time.
So get on the visuals, get on the YouTube and see that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you need to be now on YouTube watching this episode. Also subscribe, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, first prototype. We're going to work on better merch, but it's fun to have something to wear and also for our stream later this week. But we'll have a great guest this episode, someone who's been on 64 weeks ago, episode 10, when we had Meet the Moguls, Meet the Moguls episode.
Yep.
He is one of the biggest moguls, and he recently made his, he's gonna make his comeback in Diamond. He promoted this season. So we're very excited to talk with him about Season 3 coming up and the Diamond League. So welcome back. Dio, how are you doing?
Woo. Thank you. Doing really well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Long time no
it's
see, my
definitely
friend.
been a long time since the last time I was here, right?
So
much has happened.
We definitely need to do a big update with you and hear about your past 64 weeks in MFL with so many changes. Yeah, and then dive together a bit into Season 3. Also, an amazing update. We're going to talk about that update later. And of course, Diamond is going to be totally shaken up again. So it will be fun to talk about it. Before we do our updates and our Season 3 talk, Jimbo, what's the streaming status?
So for this week, this week on Wednesday, the 29th, will be the first pack drop of Season 3. So as always, we'll be live 1 hour before the drop starts to bring you that hype, that quiz, that knowledge, that potential to win dollar MFL coin, whatever you want to call it, before the pack drop starts. And then when the pack drop opens and we all scramble for what seems to be 5 seconds of our lives, well, it is 5 seconds of our lives, we will then proceed and open some packs and hopefully get some of you guys in the community to open the packs as well. So that's what we've got to look forward to on Wednesday. The Wednesday just gone, I did the watch along for the final match day or final league match day of 2025. No, I'm not saying 2025. We're far from that. Of season 2. So that was a really chill out stream. Thank you to all those who tuned in and subscribed as well. Good fun as always, seeing the carnage that is the final match days of the season. And obviously, as we're recording this, it's the playoff finals. So if you're in one, hope you've won and hope you've got the result you wanted. If not, commiserations. Better luck next season. But we don't know that.
Yeah.
Two more to go.
More. We'll see. But when this comes out, of course, we know all the every team that has promoted and relegated. There's maybe a nice transition about promotion and relegation to talk about our moment of the week. So, Jimbo, what will be your moment?
I got 2 really quick ones. First one is that I managed to escape playoff relegation in my Stone Club, which was phenomenal. It was against Hattons, who's part of the MFL Ramble podcast. So it was a bit of a podcast derby. So it wasn't directly against him, but if I lost and he won, I would have been in that 9th spot rather than him. But we lost, but he drew, so it didn't really matter because of goal difference and that. But then the big moment of the week is that, yes, they came 8th, but they did win their cup, the Aspirants Cup. I think, Rivals Cup. So that's their second domestic trophy. They've only won cups. They've never won the league. They've only won the cups, which is quite nice. That was a nice boost in MFL. But unfortunately, the Wyverns did get beaten by Fragger's Sampdoria side in the final of their Challengers Cup, which, in all fairness, that Iron side is stronger than my Bronze side, and it came 5th in Iron, I think, or 4th in Iron. So he won the cup, but I don't know how he's not got that side promoted. But fair play to Frad, you deserve to win it. But at least I won 50% of my cup finals. That's the main thing. I won a trophy this season. I won a trophy. That's the moment of the week. I won a bloody trophy.
And they look better, I read in the dev updates, right? Apparently.
Yeah, they do look better.
Look a bit
So,
better.
there's always the best time to get a trophy is now. The second best time. Oh, no, I'm not even going to that phrase. I butchered it. Let's move on.
Let's move on to. I can guess, Dio. I can guess your moment of the week. Your promotion, I reckon, or is there another?
Well, yeah, for sure. I got a couple actually. It's hard to pick. The promotion, for sure. Was it this week? There's so much that happened this week. It's hard to pick, but yeah, definitely the promotion finally back to Diamond League. That was amazing. And last season, very disappointed that I didn't get it. Thanks, Dane, for refusing me in. No, so that was a tough one. But yeah, super happy with that one. Also, with my Manchester goal team, did win the cup, which was really cool. And then was in a super tight battle for the promotion spots, which I thought, because the last match I lost actually against Big Wilbert. And I thought everything is lost, but then somehow Sturgeonator lost as well. And somehow someone else drew, so I ended up in the second spot, which, as you know, right, there's only one playoff, which I then played versus Ancient, which was not amused by losing that playoff. Sorry, Ancient, but I'm very happy that that team got promoted as well, which they, by the way, as a small fun fact in between, did also last season, except they weren't allowed because my other plat team didn't get promoted. So I had 3 plat teams, so I had to pick one that stayed.
Okay.
And they got promoted again. So now, going into next season, 1 diamond and 2 plat. So this is going to be a tough one.
Very successful.
Very nice. Congrats.
Very nice. Yes. Yeah. Well, I have a very short moment. Is that with that team that I mentioned last week, my Polish side, the Hussarze Hollanderse, to pronounce it properly.
Good
they won the title again and they promoted again. So back-to-back titles and promotions, which is great. And we've not super stacked, little bit stacked. But I feel that's
now... That's what some would say if they have a stack squad, but didn't want to admit it. They'd say it's not super stacked, but it's,
it
semi-stacked.
Was relatively stacked. No, it wasn't too bad.
Stacked, or did you change it in between seasons?
No, I didn't change. I did change it fully, but that's what we're going to do too. I think I'm just going to keep changing it. And now so my plan is to again stack it a little bit like above average and try to keep this going and see how far I can get, and then change my sites around a little bit, because this is my local site, so I want them to be in the end my highest team. So that is the plan, some kind of Wrexham project.
Always support your local team.
I'm really waiting for kind of the first one that's gonna manage to get promoted and then with the same players promote again. That would be pretty cool.
That would be that's quite an achievement indeed. So if someone has achieved this, let us know. But that would be, well, unless you stack it totally in ice already and then go to stone. I have an example coming up later in the market update, so that could be happening rather soon. Okay, time for dev updates. So quite a big one. So first of all, the rewards have been distributed. You've all seen that probably, a nice MFL balance, but you cannot spend them yet. Store opens on Tuesday too. Engine, there's a new experimental version again of the engine, and it's likely to be the one that will be used. So do test it a lot. Some general balance adjustments. The card frequency have been reduced. Red card 2, the impact of that, and much more. Do check the dev updates and the patch notes, very useful. Then what I just said about the IMFF trophies, they have been changed a little bit, got a bit more glow, thanks to Lucas, which is great. Then a couple of big ones that were announced, player suspension is coming in Season 3. You can learn more about the rules. Also check out the blog, as always, the Medium one. Stadium names, that's also coming in Season 3. So you can start naming your stadiums very soon. And also another cool thing is retirement icons. So in Season 3, some players will start to... you can see some signs that they will retire soon, so that you don't buy a kind of player that's going to retire in the next season. So to warn players against
I think
that.
there was a bit of discussion in the Discord earlier in the week, and Yak said, or someone said there's 3 players I think are retiring next season, or 3 or 6 players. Yeah, it's stupid.
Okay.
Like the number, but it's stupidly small. But there was something to do with that. Yeah.
Yes. No, but you need to be prepared for it. Like, even if it's free, right? It's good that those 3 are marked specifically. You're gonna retire, so warning. I know people don't read a lot, but extra warning, red signs. You know that you have to warn out. Stadium names. Do you already got all your stadium names?
I've got the one for the Wyverns, because ever since I established the club, when I put the little like media post out on their Twitter back in like Jan 2023, I posted it then, and so it's gonna be Silverstream Road. I don't have a clue for the Spanish one. My Spanish team, not got a clue. The Espartel, I think they've got like can't remember some white bird as their thing, so maybe it could be really cringy, call it like the Nest or something like that. Yeah. So that's what Norwich have is one of their like development centres is called the Nest. So I don't really think I can nab that. But it'll be some bird related stadium name.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
I think ChatGPT is great for this. It's just like, give me 20 names in the local language and then say what they mean and whatever. But, Dio, any names?
No, I haven't been there yet.
No?
Gonna have to do some prep work for the season in terms of stadium names, but yeah, I'm sure just like with the club team names, ChatGPT will be helpful.
Yes. Maybe we'll see sponsored stadiums also for the first time. Like
Yeah, that's what people saying that, weren't they? They were like, if you want to sponsor me, I'll give the name for the season.
Yeah. Established titles arena, maybe that if that's still around. Well, let's see. Great that we can do it more flavor, as we like that on this show. Then the Diamond updates. So we have a champion in Diamond. We didn't jinx it. Scrub Bicione Milano won the title with 49 points. It looked to be a close race, but in the end, still 4-point gap to the number 2nd and 3rd OM Legends in Atletico Tango, over 45 points. Then Jogo Bonito 42, Ballers 35, etc. I just made a video why I ended 12 with only 12 points as Magos. You can check that out if you want to hear more. I don't need to say more words about it on the show. And other teams that relegated are Variance, Samba, maybe a bit surprising. And Naples Goldfeathers is playing a playoff today against MFC Roma from Frage. Yes. And then promoted, so we already heard Dio, Amsterdam Lions, Queso shows, TR99's team, who now renamed it to like Diamond Team, like by me or something.
I think he's put Diamond Team Season 3, so people if want to have like agency, they see the name and go like, it says Platinum, but I am in Diamond for next year until like you know the full rollover day happens, which I guess is probably not a bad idea because you can change it when you want, but if team names ever get locked, you don't want to just be stuck with your team name.
No, exactly. And he wants to kind of sell it.
They play as Team OMF.
Yeah.
OMF.
Yeah, it's part of the
OMF.
More
but then is it... So now we have like two Ballers teams and 2 OMF teams, I think, because OM Legends is also the...
Yeah, I guess it's...
The OMF.
The French versus the Americans.
But yeah, they're managed by different people, so let's see how that goes. Some other quick things that the Golden Boot in Diamond went to Rory with 19 goals and Saavedra 18, so it was a close race. Aguero from Scrub Bicione Milano won the Golden Glove. McGill, your old goalie, Dio, second with 7.77 rating. And the passer, the assist, so there will be a new trophy for the assist leader. And this was Ahmed from Meta Mercenaries with 12 assists. So Meta had not a good season, but they won the assists. I don't think Ronin It's like consolation for
A
him.
season to forget for Ronan, I think.
Season to forget.
Yeah.
But actually, now that you mention it, I'm looking at the standings. They have the most goals scored of all the teams in Diamonds, even though they ended up 6th. It's pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's exactly I think we talked about it before. Yes, goal difference was crazy. Very, very weird season. One to forget soon for Ronan for sure.
I'm sure that Rory is to blame. That guy's behavior is completely uncontrollable. Like probably he just like went completely ego tour, and that's how he scored the goals. But you can't win by yourself, right? Ronan's got to fix that for next season.
Yeah. And some media training. Like maybe Rory was just saying how happy he was, but he's like, no, the team lost. I'm so sad. What they always have to say. Okay, one quick thing before I get all your reactions on the standing is that OM Legends beat Bistione Milano in the cup 5-3 on penalties, 2-2 regular time. So no double for Bistione Milano. But again, OM Legends second place and the cup winner and Bistione Milano the league winner and second in the cup. So they both had an amazing season. So any more takes, like Jimbo, on this ranking?
I'm just looking at the standings. I'm trying to remember what our predictions were, Calva, circa 4 weeks ago. I know that I said that Meta Mercenaries and OM Legends will be the top 2. I didn't watch what the order, but I thought it would be top 2. So I got one of those right. And I vaguely remember saying, I think Let's Go Tango will come 3rd. And I remember quite vividly you strongly disagreed with me initially, saying you didn't think they deserved. Tango? Yeah, you said you didn't think Tango would be up there. So I would like a very minor apology from yourself for not believing in my usually 9 out of 10 times my predictions are wrong.
Well, I'm sorry if I said I think I did put Tango pretty high because I said Big Wilbert is always.
I think you put Yoga Benito. I think you put Yoga Benito 3rd, which all fairness, he got 4th, so we can't discredit and take anything away from a promoted side finishing 4th in their first season.
Yeah,
regardless of the strength of the side, to be in the top division and take everyone by surprise, sort of thing, but kind of not, because we know how credible and how well respected and great of a manager is Sturge. Big fairness to them. Big fairness to Dane for keeping up BFC Manchester. 1 point.
Yeah, that's
relegation. That's
it's
huge.
Nice to look at it a bit like who overperformed, who underperformed. So I think Dane's BFC Manchester definitely overperformed. Sturge's Joko Benito overperformed. Then I guess Meta Mercenaries definitely underperformed.
Do you think a team that finishes 8th and 1 point above playoff relegation overperformed, or do you think they?
If you look at the Bastille's projection and if you look at how their season went, I think.
Yeah, looking at their overall, they were definitely one of the underdogs, and so the fact.
I'm not saying.
Yeah. So I would say overperformed.
I think then we said I think we agreed in this cover that at least 2 of the newcomers will get relegated. Obviously, at the moment, 1 is for sure, and then if Naples go down as well, then that does mean that prediction was right. But we won't mention number 12 spot. We don't need to. But we can, I guess could we mention what's happening to that license though? Right, we know what's happening to that license now.
We should talk about it.
Maybe by the time we listen to this, the auction may have ended for it because it's being auctioned off, right? On Floaty.
Yeah.
Which ends on the 27th of Jan.
Yeah, so the whole license you can put a bid in on Floaty up for auction. So then in Platinum it will be in new hands and there won't be any free team anymore. But the real free team, free speech, they lost their playoff spots. So also against non-free teams it's very hard, I think, to get promoted. But yeah, that on the side. Any other thoughts? Because we are going to talk a lot about Diamond later in the episode.
So the Hankies are definitely out.
They're out, yeah. I think I left with a bag full of hankies.
I think they're out they're out on the floor, left in the stadium, like just below the seats on their final game of the season. They're just they're thrown out.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is it's the jinxing part, you guys almost did it again. Huh? Almost. They were like
Almost.
10 points ahead halfway the season. And I think on the second to last match day, they were within 2 points from the second spot. I was like, oh no, this is not gonna happen. In the end, Scott managed to stay on top, but that became tight.
Yeah. No, that game against Big Wilbert, and that Big Wilbert beat him, and then it was super close. And it was also XG wise a bit interesting. But
I think we have the
the
non-financial advice warning at the beginning of the episode. We should also say, if we ever mention your team in the episode, we do not apologise, do not take accountability for any lack of performances that result as a follow-up of the episode.
no jinxing.
Yeah,
advice.
It's not our problem.
Okay, yeah, so later on the episode, much more about Diamonds as we look forward to Season 3. And now some market moves, new managers. I only found 5 this week, but maybe with the new promo, there will be much more next week. So new managers are Seiko, Pierak, Sonayuki, and Eddie the Toon. And then as new user of the week, I put Lawrence XYZ. He's not super new. So he's like kind of fake new. Let me explain. He bought players for the first time in September last year. And he was first only selling those players from the initial starter packs. But now, after selling those, he started getting active and buying players. So it's a great sign that people who know before about the project now start to also buy and get more active. That's why I put him as new user of the week. Other market moves, common, uncommon players. Fortress Agency, Ron John was sweeping some $1 floors. And now he owns 1,159 players, which is about 250 more than the number 2, Big Wilbert. So he keeps expanding that Fortress Agency. Rare players, Metalurg bought 8 rares this week, also a relatively new user. And he has 1 Ice Club. So this is that Dio, that crazy stacking. Could he promote from Ice to Stone to Iron, say, with the same players? I think Metalurg can be the first one if he has only an Ice Club and 8 rares. Way more rares. Then legendary players, Hertha bought 2 86 rated center midfielders, 21, 23-year-old for 500 and 700 USD together. So 1,200. So that's a nice investment from him. And club-wise, we saw again people buying their local teams. So Imuan was looking to swap his club for French clubs, and he got Bordeaux and Rennes Stone for 100 and 107 USD, and Unai got Bilbao Bronze for 155 USD. So that's things we like to see, people getting their local or national clubs.
Yep.
And now, Jimbo, it's time for a special.
Time for
New
a very
jingle?
special. No,
jingle?
I'll keep the same, but it's a special edition of
Okay.
Splash of the Week. And you might wonder, why is this a special, very special Splash of the Week on this particular episode? And that is because I think we're going to have our very first time where the person who is the Splash is also our guest on the show today as well. So, Dio, I would like to hand the microphone, the room, over to you to tell us about your splash, the amount, and everything that went around it.
All right. So, this actually happened today. And it's a 91 rated striker by the name of Sylvain Francois, a French guy. I hope I did the pronunciation okay.
Better than I would.
He's 22 years old. Special thing about him is that he is already up +6 in his career. So he started out as an 85 and is a 91 rated now, which was obviously one of the interesting things about him. One of the things he's definitely worked on is his shooting, because this has reached 99 already.
Very nice.
Then some of his other stats: 85 pace, 89 passing, 83 dribbling, and 85 physical, and some defense. So yeah, and the price that it went for, at least on the sales bot, I guess, was 1,700. but it was accompanied by the transfer of a right midfield player to Bill or Bucks, and so that added some value there. So yeah, pretty big deal, I guess. I think I have overpaid slightly, but there was a lot of interest for this guy. I'm very happy that I managed to get him, or that Bill was willing to sell him to me, because I know that Sturgeonator and Scrub were on the hunt as well, and and were very disappointed, which just made the purchase better for me.
Great.
Very nice.
And I see he's also, so he has like all forward positions he can play, left wing, right wing, striker. And you play 4-3-3-2 with Amsterdam, I think. Or
Yeah,
not?
or a 4-4-2.
4-4-2. Okay, well, he can play as a striker, but also as those wingers. So you're very flexible. That makes him great too. Plus the passing. He has 89 passing. So he's also true winger passing wise. So I think it's really good. Yeah, amazing player. And +6. So that's a bit of that progression premium that you maybe were paying, right? That he went up.
Yeah, definitely. And so the hope is that he goes up a little bit more, but he already reached 99 shooting, so it's not going to get easier from here. So let's see.
Yeah. But still, he's young, right? 91, and then those other... Yeah, I think with 99 shooting, like pretty much all, like another pace of dribbling, that soon adds up, I think. With shooting being such the main attribute, right, for strikers. So, well, we'll see.
I think
great splash.
Yeah, I think it's a great splash. I just want to say big congrats on your first date or your debutant performance on a debut performance as a Splash of the Week host. I feel like my job is slightly under threat now. We maybe have to bring you back for the future Splash of the Weeks if that's what the listeners want. I think they definitely pronunciations far better. So that's a key part of Splash of the Week is pronunciations and head and shoulders. So congrats, well done.
Thanks. Yes.
It was amazing to, for the first time, witness the jingle live. That is.
I think when you last came on, the jingle wasn't a thing. So you've
right.
You've had to wait probably at least 50 weeks to hear the jingle in person.
I also like that you literally have a soundboard, but you did not pre-record it. Like you could literally.
Yeah, I could just press a button, but I know every time it is live. But on the streams, I do press a button sometimes to play it. But no, I like to. So then you can always hear, if, be a bit odd if I'm ill one day and I feel a bit bad, then I can play that one. But that what's the we don't lip sync or whatever. We don't mime that bit. It's always live. No. Professionals.
No. Okay, let's do a little bit a quick round of IRL MFL. Jimbo, any PFL? FPL, sorry, not PFL.
Biggest result of the weekend, probably Man City beating Chelsea 3-1. Chelsea going up 1-0 very early on, thanks to a defensive error from the new Uzbekistani centre-back from who Man City just purchased. But then Sanchez, Chelsea goalkeeper, who I think is absolutely stinker of a keeper for Chelsea. 4 seasons ago he was playing in like League 1 or League 2, and now he's making errors against Haaland. Ipswich got smashed. Great news. Norwich won 5-1. Great news. Our striker Josh Sargent back after like 12 weeks, scored 2. Great news. And for the Americans, that is great news. I think Tottenham lost today at home to Leicester. Great news. I think just been a good week. Arsenal nearly didn't win, which would have been great news, but the fans got rattled with a red card. So for 40 minutes of social media, that was great news. Anything that rattles the big teams on socials is what I'm here for, because they erupt and it is brilliant as a non-prem supporting side.
It was funny to see them then reporting on like 3-0. They have to communicate all the goals and all the highlights and then still upload them.
I guarantee you now, without looking at it, Tottenham's full-time result post was ends in defeat, full stop. I guarantee it was that. That's what they only ever post. And someone made a thread of all of these. They've quoted every single one. I think they've lost. I think they've lost nearly double than what they've won this season, which for a team like Tottenham is silly.
Yeah, no, it's not going so well for them. My IRL MFL, of course, I have to do some Dutch club. So Feyenoord beat Bayern 3-0 in the Champions League. Amazing result for a Dutch club. Although for our fans of engines and complaining about the engine, the XG was also a little bit off. Feyenoord had 1.65 XG and scored 3 goals. Bayern had 2.47 XG and scored no goals. And on this website where I check, they give an XG fairness score, which was 27%.
XG fairness.
So maybe for MFL we can also add a XG fairness score. But yeah, it was. If you see this exactly those stats in MFL, you say this is totally unfair. But yeah, Champions League, it also happens there. Feyenoord did very well on the counter, and it worked. The tactic, bit of luck, good counters. And
can you imagine if the game you lose 3-0 MFL and it pops up, rate the engine out of 10 for this match? It'll be unfair 0 for the person who lost, and the person who won 3-0 will be 10 out of 10, amazing.
Yes.
An engine or XG fairness.
Engine fairness can also be a rating.
I don't know how did you read how they calculate XG fairness? What?
No, I just saw it. I was just Googling because I knew from watching the match that it would be very skewed to the XG.
Because I think...
And then I just found this website, XG Fairness. I don't know how they calculate it.
They had a penalty as well, Feyenoord, right? So I guess that immediately is 0.76 or something along those lines that gets...
Yeah.
Actually, I think Norwich had an XG of 0.98 in a game yesterday. Because...
And they scored 5.
No. One chance was 0.98.
Oh, okay.
The striker chipped the goalkeeper. It hit the crossbar, hit the line, wasn't going in. The player just ran into it and it went in. So he basically couldn't miss. if he did miss, then we probably would have lost our minds. But we were 4-1 up at that point. But I think it's either 0.88 or 0.98 xG. I think the ball was basically half over the line and he touches it in. So you don't. I don't know what you have to do to get one. If that's the thing, can you get one?
Dio, are you happy with Feyenoord or are you not a Feyenoord fan actually?
Not necessarily, but when the
for Dutch football,
teams,
it's good.
When they're playing international, it's always fun to follow. So I definitely saw that result, and then they have something like 20% possession or something. It was.
I think it was. It's low.
They were literally back against the wall and just countering sometimes, and that was their setup. But exactly. I don't know in England. I don't think in England it's different, but we cheer for all Dutch teams abroad, and then inside the Netherlands Then we start to be tribal and attack each other. But,
I guess that is kind of the same, but if you're a rival of that club, you won't. So you're not going to get a Man U fan cheering for Man City to go on and beat, Club Brugge or whoever they play next week. But if you're outside of it, I imagine, as a non-Prem club supporter or fan, I would like to see a Premier League club win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Just not Arsenal. No. No, I'd like to see them win. It's always they always say, it's always a Spanish team that wins most European competitions. There's always this. I just want to shut those people up and go, no, it's different this year. It's either English or it's
exactly.
Won't be
in
French
the end, you rather
ages.
have that.
Won't never be French. Not for a long time.
No.
Sorry.
No. Time. I think this is going to be an important moment because we have our beer top 3, and we have someone who knows a lot about beers.
Definitely drinks beer.
Drinks beer, is a connoisseur.
That was the only reason why I came today.
The main
1 minute.
reason, or the only reason, is to change this beer top 3 because what is the current top 3 is number 1 is Radler from Samoufs. Any Radler, unspecified. Then second is Brewer's Banquet Original from Taggart. And third is Yuanling from and Brandon. So 2 American beers and a fake German beer. So I think I know where Dio's gonna go, but I'll let him take over.
Can I change them all 3 or how does it work again?
No, you changed one beer. One beer. And you kick out one that has not been mentioned before. But I don't think that's...
We don't really have a running list because everyone's unique what they've been saying, haven't they?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure. I do love a good beer. The current ones in the top three, a Radler, yeah, that is not even a beer. The other two.
No.
For me, also, a lager would never be a top beer. That a lager is nice, right? You can sometimes on a sunny day, sure, right? You can have a drink of a lager, but a good beers to me, then it has to be basically been made by the monks in most likely Belgium. It has to be
Yes.
an Abbey beer. Those are the truly good ones. I think of all the Trappist beers, by far most of them are in Belgium. I think something like 8 out of 12 or something. No, there's a few more. There's like 2 in the Netherlands, 1 in Italy, 1 in Austria, and I think 1 in the US, and then all the other 10 or whatever are in Belgium. So I'll definitely go for one of these. Some of my favorites are. Well, I had a hard time choosing which one I'll replace. It's probably either Triple Carmelite or Delirium. Those are amongst my favorites.
Great ones.
Although the special La Trappe series or the special Chimay series, those are really good as well and a little bit more expensive. So I guess I can go on this topic for a while, but let's go for the pink elephants. Let's go for Delirium, and we're gonna put it at number 1.
I think you need your own beer podcast, Dio. Like I can just see and hear the passion for this beverage that you've just been talking about. I feel like you need your own podcast, or at least when someone on the WenDirk Cast brings their one in, you have to write a little tweet or scrutinize it in the Discord and say why it's either great or give it a review. We need like a little Dio's beer review segment.
The challenge might be my review for most of the lager beers will be very short. But...
Yeah, 4 letters.
Not
shit. Not real.
What was that tweet by Tottenham? Defeat.
Yeah, defeat. Pain.
Yeah. So we have a new number 1, Delirium, what you just heard, The Pink Elephant by Dio. Then Brewer's Banquet and Wendling by Taggart and Brandon. So our next guest can replace one of those real beers. So that's great to have only beers in the top 3. Okay, let's move on to our main segment, the Season 3 preview. First, gonna talk a little bit in general about Season 3 and then a bit of a deep dive into the Diamond League Season 3. But first, we're curious, Dio, about those past 64 weeks. What has happened? There's quite a bit of changes. You started with like your Milan site and then you got rid of it. Can you guide us through your past year, let's say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been quite a ride. As you guys know, and you guys did mention it in the podcast as well. I at one point was just getting frustrated in Diamond with engine at that point in time. It was taking me too much time, so I found a way out, take a little bit of a break, went into Plat. And then also had a team fully focused on Dutch players, very similar to Frajoko's MFC Roma and Sturge. There's a couple of All-American teams, and there's a couple more out there. But that wasn't really working for me as well. So recently I kind of let that go a little bit. Still got a lot of top Dutch players, but let go a little bit. Just going more for the team now, the Amsterdam Lions. And then recently some more changes with a couple of sales to the big wheel coming into Arcane, which did cost me a couple of really good players, but I kept my best ones, so I'm still quite happy with the preparation for Diamond League, and actually it's helped me free up some funds to get some quality purchases like the one today. So that was cool. I've not actually taken any money out with the Arcana sales. Put it right back in, and also especially over the last it's going to be a month or so, I guess, right? That progression is really a big thing, and trying to see if I can make some purchases that kind of are smart with that in mind. So that's been a little bit of a shift of focus, and that's been a lot of fun. It's just an entire extra game. I loved scouring the marketplace, find good deals. Previously, even before we had the competition, then the competition came in, and now this whole extra element of progression is just so much fun, right? You're just waiting for the plus ones and been chasing players that I think, or I probably hope is the better word, right? That I hope might continue to grow, and trying to get those in the agency to see if I can have some long-term plays. So anyway, yeah, a lot been going on. I am looking forward to be back in Diamond next season. So it's fun. Although, as a side note, the MFL earnings in Plats were probably a lot better. I got a
that's
good
touchy
result.
subject.
That's a whole other discussion. But do you?
Well, to
but
throw
do you
some fire on that one, so I think I haven't. The leaderboard isn't updated, but I think I'm the number one earner this past season, and I have no diamond clubs.
And with two plat clubs, right? Two plat clubs.
With 2 plat clubs, yeah.
Yeah, two plat clubs. Okay. Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole other discussion. I think on Discord also past week there was a lot of talk about that. But about your strategy of buying players, do you feel like for diamonds you need to get a bit more quality in, or this should suffice to survive in diamond? What do you think?
Yeah, I've been trying to work on that for the past couple of weeks. So I think I've got a decent squad now. So the answer definitely was yes, but I've been preparing a little bit with the hopes of getting promoted, and especially as it came close, I did a few more purchases. So I hope the squad is ready to at least stay there, right? But competing for the top spots, that would be tough.
Because we cannot ignore the fact that you are the owner of Mr. Dirk Klaassen himself as well, who are just having a little quick look at this season, obviously. He made one progression in his overall this year, going from a 92 to a 93. He averaged a 7.6 rating across the season, playing in 21 games. Assisted 7, which is his second ever highest total for assists since season 0.1. And he scored 7 goals, which is the most he's ever scored in a season. So, Dio, I think you're getting good numbers out of him.
It looks like Dirk is ready.
Yeah, he had what 1 and 2 seasons out from the a couple of seasons out from the Diamond League. He needs to
mature a little bit,
relish in that competition again.
Yeah. Get ready in Plata. Now he's ready for.
Yeah, it is also your previous comment. Like, I do like to play the 4-2-3, and then especially the 4-2-3 def. Normally I play, but I've got to play Dirk, right? So I think it's going to be 4-4-2.
Although you can play as a winger, right? Secondary. I remember, like a left winger.
Left winger. He's right mid primary. Left wing.
Yeah.
The guy is literally good at everything except that he's not that fast. He's got 66 speed, and he's good at everything else. So he could. But
maybe now this is a good transition to where we're going to talk about player instructions. So maybe as a left winger, you could give him some player instructions where pace is maybe
to run faster.
Less important. Oh. Yeah, or maybe don't run. Like, I don't know, or just quickly pass it, or I don't know what you can do. But maybe, let's talk about that right now about season 3, because we have a couple things that are changing. Of course, the player. Instruction, suspension, those kind of things. But before we talk about it, let's also look back a little bit at season 2. If we learned anything from that season, and if we would do anything different, knowing that in season 3. Jimbo, do you have any thoughts about this? Any lessons?
I feel like not really a lesson learned, but something that I guess should do next season, but I'd not so necessarily a lesson learned. I feel like I need to utilise the mid-season transfer window a bit more, but I'm very reluctant to give up revenue share, or I'm just too stubborn to buy a player mid-season. So I'm sort of caught in two minds there with what to do. I still back my approach to not tampering with tactics. I didn't change a single team instruction throughout the season for both of my clubs in all 4 of the different variations of lineups I had, 2 being for each. The only things I did muck up a few times was I hadn't set the set piece takers for my second teams. So that kind of bit me in the arse a bit when suddenly I've got a penalty and it's not the guy I want taking the penalty, or I'm realising that my striker is now taking my 40-yard indirect free kicks because I don't want him to be taking them. So that's sort of some lesson learned, just to some of the small things that don't really make a huge difference, but more peace of mind, because you know that one day when you don't set those set piece takers, your cup game will go to pens and you'll lose on pens and you'll be kicking yourself as to why you never set them. But also, all you do is set them once and then save that setup. I just hadn't done that because it was sort of like the transfers were coming in thick and fast before the end of the season. But yeah, not really any major lessons learned, but try and maybe utilise mid-season transfer for strengthening a few more times. Stop being a stubborn bastard, basically.
Attention to detail, a bit more dedication or focus.
Yeah, well, my main objective was surviving, and I survived in bronze. So I feel like I might come straight back down again. I might do a Magos. I think I overachieved first season in my new division. I think I might underwhelmingly come.
Put a Magos.
Yeah, just before any rules change or anything like that. But yeah, well.
Okay. Do you have any lessons for you, or any takeaways for next season?
As for me, the main thing, a lot of things went well, I think, which is cool. But one thing in hindsight that I had thought I would do is just to run more tests before the season, because we still are in this phase that the engine changes a fair bit every season, right?
Yep.
And I had said to myself, we're gonna get ready for this, but I'm just naturally drawn to the manager side of things. I love the squad building, finding players, doing the scouting, all that kind of stuff. I guess I'm not the natural coach, so I just realized, I guess too late, that some of the tactics just weren't really working. So I've got 1 or 2 teams that were just kind of, even though they had quality players, probably in Basti's rankings, they were somewhere near the top, but they were just doomed from the beginning just because I didn't try those tactics out. Luckily, I had a couple of 4-4-2s out there as well, which was a very stable formation this past season. So yeah, in the coming season, again, I've completely focused right now on squad building, agency building. So I still have barely tested anything in the new engine. So I guess I got to get on that in the coming week.
Yeah, I feel like I have literally the same. Yeah, I focus way more on the team building, agency, and then you forget a bit about tactics. And I also was stuck in a couple teams with this 3-5-2. Magos was the big example, but also my silver team that ended 12, also ended 12. So another lesson maybe for me is build your squad with a bit more flexibility for formations that you could pivot, or maybe use the transfer window. If like after half the season it doesn't work, then change and not keep sticking with the same old thing. Like Jimbo, I know we say be consistent, but if you keep losing all your matches, the first 11, then maybe change. Yeah, and maybe it's time to do something else. Yeah,
if it's clearly not working for 12 to 16 games before the mid-season transfer window, it might be a sensible thing to not be stubborn like I am sometimes, and actually maybe try and change things and take that gamble, take that risk. And I guess, sometimes that's probably a good way to look at it.
Yeah, you have this Einstein quote, right? Like that's being crazy or insane is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So I think
I always remember that quote from Far Cry 3.
Oh, Far Cry. Okay.
Where Vask goes like, he says something like, insanity is doing the same fucking thing over and over again, and expecting shit to change is what he says. I like that quote better than
Einstein.
Yeah,
they're almost as famous.
Near enough. Yeah, Bastard Einstein.
Yeah, but it is tough because one of my teams was a 3-5-2 as well. But it's actually tough to change that with only 2 transfers.
Yes. Yeah, it's without a right back, left back, or wingers, you can barely pivot in that situation. So it's
And I think
Yeah,
a lot
so
of
to
people,
build-
a lot of
sorry.
people as well play quite slim squads. So if you are playing a 16 to 18 man squad, your ability to pivot mid-season when we're not in transfer windows is considerably slim. You just cannot do that. Whereas if you go for the 22, 25, you could maybe have a couple older players who you could have just for like utility in case you need them, and you're happy to use them in case. So maybe that's, I guess, with things like suspensions and et cetera, that's, I guess, maybe the nudge that MFL might be doing, like use the max 25 if you can. It might be best for progression in some instances, but it might benefit you across the season.
Yeah, or just do more testing beforehand to know
Yeah.
if there is a chance. So it's like both things, I guess. You gotta do a little bit, the testing and flexibility.
Yeah,
But
that's
you're
just
not
where you
stuck.
got the balance, right? Because from a management perspective, I think it's much more beneficial to run a slim squad, both from a progression perspective as well as like maximizing MFL, right? Then you could probably have these 5, 6, 7 players or an MFL somewhere, or create another team, right? So from a management perspective, it's probably better to run a slimmer squad, but from a tactical perspective, it's limit your options. So pros and cons.
The dilemma.
No, yeah, exactly. This is just sacrificing progression. You have to sacrifice it somewhere. You cannot play all your guys. So then, how much? Yeah, do you sacrifice a bit more for results? That is that's a dilemma indeed. All right. So those were our lessons. Now let's talk about season 3. So of course we had a big update this week that there will be individual player instructions. The ones we talked about last week, they will be there in season 3. And suspensions and a new engine. So there's like 3 things that changed.
Triple whammy.
So how will we deal with this, or how will it change the game? What do you expect? Is it like a fundamental change? Are base things still similar?
I think,
how will you change things around?
I think suspensions will no doubt make people run aggressive less often, because they don't want to get hammered by suspensions. But one thing I quite like that they've introduced into suspensions is essentially you cannot, if you're on a double game day, it doesn't affect the second game. You essentially have a night's 18 hours. You have a sleep's worth of delay until that suspension actually kicks in, which is quite nice. So if you do play a cup game, you get red carded, it won't affect the following game, which, you know, the more clubs you own, the more things there are to look at, individual player instructions, suspensions, team instructions, etc., the more time it will take up of users and managers when playing the game. So having that basically sort of like a fail-safe, which I quite like. The impact of individual player instructions, I haven't got a clue. If I'm completely honest, because until we see the season start, but I can guarantee there'll be a range of results, and there'll be even more engine feedback, aka moaning from everyone, just because there's more things now that you can play with to fuck it up more with your tactics. You know, before it was just everything was on balance. Before that, you couldn't even change any of that. It's just formations and the players, and now you can do everything. But what I really love, I think we said it last week, that it gives managers the ability to play MFL how they really want to play it, and they can set up their teams how they want to play football, and that just makes it so much more enjoyable. At the end of the day, if you're enjoying playing, I don't think you really mind about the results. You know, if you're having fun, which obviously definitely there's a correlation between winning games and having fun, but if you're still having fun regardless, then that's the main thing. And the new engine, we'll see what happens. I've not done enough testing. We'll figure out in the first week.
But it's also now even harder to isolate, you know, like with so many instructions. You have the team instructions, play instructions, and then like it's impossible to run tests, right? Like to isolate one thing. Or
Quinton's long paragraph saying that your tactics swayed your win percentage by minus 10% will now be 17 out of your 32 individual player instructions resulted in you having a minus 7.5%, or you're just going to give, you know, dissertation length report as to why it is that you.
It's like billions and billions of options now, probably of combinations. But...
Yeah.
Okay, Dia, what's your take on new things?
Yeah, I was on that point that Jimbo was making there. I was wondering actually, it might actually quiet down feedback. I could see that happening as well, just because it becomes so ambiguous what has happened, right? It's not like 4-2-3-1 doesn't work because I always lose against 4-4-2. There's now so many other things at play that the other one could be brilliant and using his player best. You could have completely messed it up, but I think it's going to be much tougher now to have also generic feedback on the engine for that matter. But I'm sure there's specific stuff like the back pass to the opponent striker type of situation that was happening last season. That was obvious, right? But I would think the more generic feedback might actually calm down a little bit. Funny enough, just because
true.
There's so many more options now. But yeah, curious about the new engine as well. Haven't quite tested it enough yet. But it sounds like there's relatively big changes. So we'll have to figure that out soon. The suspensions. Let's see. I'm one of those that plays small squads, 17, 18, 19 players, kind of. That's what I have. Might get tricky at the lowest end with 17 players, because then really you might come in a situation where you have a suspension and you have a super tired player. But my first take is that it might not be too bad and you can probably manage.
Yeah. So you're not gonna change squad size, but would you change squads based on like individual player skills now with instructions? And will you use it a lot, actually? Will you give a lot of instructions, do you think?
That's a great question. Probably for my top teams, I will want to, because then I'll know the player and like, okay, this guy is great at dribbling or passing, right? Or you have a winger that is super good at passing but not that good at dribbling, that you can finally kind of use them in the way that makes sense. So maybe in the very obvious cases, I will. In some other cases, I know I will want to, but I might hold off. Just what Jimbo said, I'm probably going to mess up more than I'm helping.
That's the fun bit.
But yeah, again, it's like often balance is also a choice, all right? Or with individual instructions, like not saying anything is also a choice. So it's you're choosing anyway, even if you do everything balanced for everything. But it's always like seems safer option, definitely.
I thought I had a great idea and I put everything on the left, so everything less, and then in the player instructions I basically changed it to like either more or balance then. But then I was realizing I might as well just leave everything on balance and then do less or more. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, indeed. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Other expectations for the whole game?
I was going to say just one quick bit on the suspensions piece. I like the fact that in the engine update, I know you mentioned earlier, Calvert, that they have reduced like the impact, or have looked at and reduced the impact of red cards, because obviously that's a big bit that coincides with the suspension, that, you know, if now you're going to get suspended plus your game's ruined as well because you had a red card, because there's no things like substitutions or there's, you know, preset tactics subs or anything like that. I'm glad they've sort of reduced the impact, because for many managers, majority, if not all, would agree that if you got an early red card to a pivotal position, then you were near enough stuffed. Even depending on like if you're an underdog or if you were the clear favourite, if you had a 3-back and you got any of those 3 sent off in the first half, you probably say bye-bye to the game, unless on the very minuscule percentages where it didn't happen. So I'm glad they've had a little bit of a look at that and addressed it before suspensions come into effect, because it's sort of like a double whammy, because you can't control what happens after the red card, but you can control the impact of them. I guess now you can control whether they are more aggressive or not. But you know, if you're playing against some dribbly boys and they're dribbling past all your fullback, centre backs, you know, sometimes you might not want to be aggressive against that. But yeah, I think people will find combinations of what works best. So I'm looking forward to individual player instructions, because like you said, Dio, you can play players to their strengths. And both of my teams, I watch all their games, not full, but I watch them in 2D. So as much as I see the stats for the games, I would like to say like the visual test. You actually see how they play, and you can see that if they're 1-on-1 and they miss, that maybe it was just more often than not in this engine, they just miss. It may not be because they have a poor shooting stat. They might just miss. So actually, now I actually want him to shoot less. You can actually, the visual test is a big one. So, yep, looking forward to it. But don't know what's going to happen. The unknown.
So, any other Season 3 expectations? Game development or user growth or prices or anything else?
I was just thinking there's going to be a couple of natural developments I think that we'll see happening, right? One is that leagues will start getting tighter and tighter, right? That we're in the third season now of the promotion relegation and it's starting to get tight in some leagues, which I guess contrary to what I was saying before might, I don't know, maybe cause the upset discussions to come back because everything is so close. So everything is a coin toss basically. Well, we're not quite there yet, but it is definitely getting closer. And the other thing I was thinking, I expect also this is the season where we might start to see the market adapting to whatever conclusions we're getting from the progression introduction. I don't know yet fully in which direction. I mean, I know what I'm betting on, but I don't know if I've got it right. We'll learn, but I would expect that we start to learn and we start to maybe see the market move a little bit.
Yeah. Also for me, it doesn't feel like progression is priced in properly by many players. Or not yet. So indeed, that might happen. And because you said like 6 guys might retire in 2 years or something, Jim.
Yeah, I think like 3 to 6. It's single digits anyway, I think.
So because indeed it keeps being like there's still like quite a big gap until there's massive retirement gonna happen. So we'll have those more tight leagues, higher overall leagues. It's gonna all like creep up, right? And get very more competitive, I think so. But then also, what will the prices do? That's going to be interesting.
I mean, like the last week, I'll probably say prices have, on average, across rarities, dipped slightly. I don't think we're still at a point where, yes, we have lots of users coming in, but we're not mature enough that, say, like 1 or 2 big users, if they decide they want to shift some of their players, could drop the market a little bit. I think a good example of that was, I think, Make Think this week listed, or maybe last week, and listed a load of uncommons, and he just wanted to scale down a bit. When one manager can list 90 uncommons for, reasonable prices, when everyone's been selling for inflated prices, I guess it actually brings it down slightly. And I think as well, with the rewards being released tomorrow, we're going to see, I could be wrong, I've got no stats to back this up, this is pure theory and skepticism in my head, that we'll have the most unique managers being able to buy reward packs, because a lot of those new users last year may have not been able to because they joined mid-season or didn't earn enough. And now they may have done back-to-back promotions, they may have their stack squad, and now those new managers can go ahead and buy their first reward packs, which they can either open, they could sell floaty. That's now a massive thing, gaining popularity. But I do agree with what you were saying, Dio, about the progression piece and some of that. I think maybe especially after next year when we've had the second season, there was a saying like 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. And now once you've got 3 seasons, you can maybe see a little bit of a trend with progression. But overall, I'm really interested to see what the price of some of those younger players looks like, because they're the ones that we really are in the unknown about in terms of what progression looks like, in terms of starting overall versus potential for them, because it's going to take, the average prime age, what is it, like 26 or something, 27 for most. We're still waiting maybe 6, 7, 8 seasons for those ones to get a full look at what that chart looks like for those young players. So it'd be interesting to see if that, I guess, age premium / plus premium progression is still there with players in the next season. Who knows, mate? Who knows? But I expect user growth to still be the same, if not more.
There's a new promo, right?
A new promo, yeah.
Are we similar in terms of user growth versus at the beginning of last season? I haven't seen any stats about it. I don't know if you guys know.
That's a really good stat.
Well, it doesn't. Not yet. It doesn't feel like from the I always check those new names, right? And it feels like we had a massive influx. With season 1, for sure, that period was huge, and now it's quiet. It's like a bit more quiet. But maybe with a big club promo pack, also like the Sorare community that keeps growing, and all of those
that's
guys, they also create network. So I think the network effect is gonna like kind of double and get bigger.
Yeah,
so
100%. And you're seeing lots of communities now that may not necessarily talk often about MFL within MFL Discord. So like the French community, you've got the Sorare Ramble guys. Those guys are active a lot, but you don't see it on the main Discord. So there are lots of people, lots of user growth may go unnoticed in that sense, because you don't, unless you stare at the charts all day and look at marketplace activity and do your own dashboards and stuff. But for the regular person, we look at Discord. Sometimes it's like barely any chats in the morning. But then in the afternoon, when different parts of the world wake up, etc. But then other communities, like the French community, they are blabbering away in their native language on different Discord. That's far more active than ours, but we never see that. So yeah.
Exactly. So a hidden growth maybe in the back.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time for something we never done before in the pod, Jimbo, which is a bit of a visual.
Bit of visual, yeah.
Presentation, a bit of because Dio has prepared some nice slides for each Diamond Club, kind of an overview of their agency, their squads, their tactics, etc. So we thought it would be fun with Dio as a new Diamond manager to dive a bit deeper into the Diamond League of Season 3. And we're gonna share, so if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening and you have time, also check out YouTube, because we have there the visuals that we're gonna talk about. But I think still for audio, it's also good to listen, so don't worry.
Yeah.
If you're driving right now, anywhere in the world, you can also keep listening and we'll describe everything. But yeah, we're gonna talk. I'm gonna share the screen now and we're going to talk about Season 3 of the Diamond League. Yeah, so MFL Diamond League Season 3 preview, we're going to talk about it. So first of all, quick recap of the Season 2 rankings and who's been replaced. So we have Bishow Milano, OM Legends, Tango, Bonito, BFC Barcelona, Mercenaries, Vissel London, BFC Manchester, they all survived. Naples Goldfeathers of Roma, we're not sure, that's tonight. Samba, Variants, Magos relegated, and Dio's Amsterdam Lions promoted, K-Socios promoted, and Team OMF, the Diamond League Season 3, who also got promoted. So we're going to go over each team, analyze them a little bit. And the first one, of course, is Biscione Milano.
Can I also just point out before we say this, obviously this is pre-transfer window, and pre, True. Like, some it's worth pointing out that some squads can change. Maybe we'll call it the Akane effect, where his buying of players could suck up some of these talents depending on what the contracts are. The managers have decided to cancel, etc. But from a current point of view, this is what we're looking at.
Yeah, we're definitely a bit early. A lot can still change.
We're early.
But I think this is definitely like the base, right? I don't see massive changes, also because it's so competitive. It's really, people are less likely to sell. Definitely they're stars. They're superstars, and I think those make the difference. So let's look at Biscione Milano. Their best players are Maciejewski, left winger, Ruiz. Actually, did Ruiz go to Scrub? Was that to Akane, actually? That's the first one.
Yeah, he's currently. You can see the agent on the right. He's currently on Scrub's team, but he's now owned by Akane. So.
Okay, that's why. Yeah, I'm looking. I thought this is agency, but this is a squad, right?
Yeah, this is a squad. Yeah.
This is a squad. Yeah. So for Scrub, he has a couple of Akane players on his team that he's gonna lose, such as Ruiz and Thijsse, 93 left winger. And White and Arndt, to 91 rated players. So Scrub is a champion, but he might lose a couple of good guys to Akane. And that might be a challenge. And also whether he's going to play 4-4-2, 4-3-3, he's mixing them both. If he can still keep that flexibility. Let's say. So what do you guys think about Biscione? Can they do it again next year? First place? Do they need more talent in there?
Go on, Dio.
Yeah, do it again. I think it's gonna be tough. But they're one of the best teams in terms of overall, especially the number that they've got here. But like what you're saying, he's losing for sure 4 players to Akane. I would bet that he's gonna lose a couple more to Akane, but let's see. Before we actually start the season. So yeah, let's see how strong his team is really going to be. But it's not going to be never going to be a weak team. That's for sure. So I'm sure he's going to fight for the top spots. But you would also expect that obviously Ronin's team was underperforming a lot in the past season. You would expect that he's going to come back and compete for the top spots. So repeating the number 1 spot, that's going to be tough. But he's got amazing players, and some of them are moving as well, right? You can see some of these +3s with Ruiz and McLeod and Dos Santos that are already 92 or 94 and seem to be progressing. So let's see where that ends.
Yeah, I think you've put here the best overall is 10-22, and I think from the projection that Basti's updated mid-season, it looks like he's gained 4 overall across that squad at best 11. So that's what I love about the progression, that the dynamics and strengths change throughout the season. Where someone could, Ronan, his meta mercenaries being say like 10-30 and above, that could shrink depending on players' progressions. And I will admit that Scrub and Bashoni Milano are probably a team that they won Diamond, they came second Titans Cup, they won the Titans. Won the Titans Cup the year before, and then came 4th in Diamond. There's someone that I've sort of gone under my radar in terms of how well they perform, even though they're always there or thereabouts, to use the cliche saying. So I think even with losing some key players, if he does, that they will still be in that top 4. I'd like to think, but I do agree with you, Dio. Ronan, you would think will have a bit of a comeback season, but it shouldn't be a comeback. It should just be his regular, right? So we expect that to happen.
Yeah, and Akane, but we're going to talk about it later with kind of the Bayern Munich tactic, just try to buy everyone's best players and then see
for dirt
see
cheap,
but
maybe not dirt cheap.
Definitely not cheap, but he does get them. So yeah, so I think Scrub has a little bit of a challenge to replace those guys, but he will still be up there, definitely fighting for the title. Okay, maybe Jimbo, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go for this one. So OM Legend, someone who I believe he won the breakaway season in Diamond, which I remember saying that if you wanted to win any season leading up to season 1, it was the breakaway season, the season just before, where the engine's going to be as close as it was before season 1. You want to win and have that momentum going in, and he's certainly done that. He's finished second in the last 2 seasons. We'll call them the full seasons of MFL, which is huge, winning Titans Cup this season and then second last year with it. He has some strong players, and they're all, I guess the key bit here is with his players, he owns them all, and or near 4 of them that we can see on the screen right now. Plus they're all stupidly young as well. He went on a big spree summer last year, April last year, purchasing legendary players who were young. And I guess he wants that longevity for his players. He wants to own them all, which I think, especially when you've got people like Akane coming around, which there may be a bit of like sort of French connection there, why he's not snuck in and taken any of them from Joe. But owning all your players, where you've got other players who want to come into Diamond, who are prepared to give big bucks, you don't have to change anything, which I think is key. And if you can keep consistency with your own players, Vice, Nakamura, De Palma, I'm sure that Fraj has been seething at the bit trying to get that player off him, being the Italian that he is. He's got some super strong players, and I think the fact that they're so young just means you can probably egg out more progression from them, hopefully, over the next coming season. Just get stronger, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was to win, say, the next 3 years, because that team's probably going to stay the same. And if it's consistently coming top 2 at the moment, which it has done, it feels like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they grab themselves a fully fledged MFL season Diamond trophy.
Yeah, he really seems that ownership that he has of all his players, that's amazing. Plus that future potential, and all those results already. Second in the league, second in the season 1. So I think he really got a great foundation to keep fighting for the title in the coming Diamond season. So I think he has a super strong team, Joby. So and he doesn't have the same problems as Scrub has. Yeah, that Akane came in and got 4 or 5 of his guys. So do you any take on Home Legends?
Yeah, I think well, you guys already mentioned it, but I think the word that describes his squad really well is consistency. He's just been so consistent in his performance. I think from the moment he started this squad, I remember him coming in. I think it was December 2022, and he was making some splashes there. And I remember thinking like, whoa, this guy coming in, and he's paying the big bucks. Now in hindsight, it was nothing that he paid for some of these guys. I remember him buying Weiss for, I think it was 1,000 or 1,200 or something. It seemed crazy at the time. But he's so consistent. He's been playing 4-4-2 since then. He's always done that. Also, if you look at his players, all his starters are 91 or 92, with one exception. His right back was 93. So it's just such a super consistent squad. I think they're here to stay. Yeah, he doesn't do crazy stuff. He doesn't go on selling sprees or change his mind like I did about Diamond and everything, right? No, he's staying the core. So yeah, I agree. And young players, he's gonna keep competing in the top, and always slightly kind of outperforming his just pure overall. He's always up there.
Yeah. No, really great team.
I always loved Joe because he was the person who sold the Norwich license to me when he got it. I think for $50 at the time, so it was a bargain of a price, by the way. So I've always got the utmost respect for Joby.
So you're a little bit an Home Legends fan, Jimbo?
Yeah,
tiny bit,
yeah.
tiny bit there.
Tiny bit.
Yeah, so definitely we expect them to fight for the title again, as they have been in the past seasons. Then Atletico Tango. Maybe Dio, do you want to go over them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's Big Wilbert's team. I think one thing that is really kind of his style is he wants to be unpredictable. I think he really doesn't like it as well if he's getting friendlied against. He's sorted it out from, I remember, early on to make sure that that's never possible. Also, you see he has recently played formations, or his most played formations this season. It's 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3 def, 4-2-3 attack, 4-2-3, 5-4-1. It's all the formations he's playing. He's got a super versatile team. Also, really good players there. He's got this crazy striker with Saavedra. I think you just mentioned, right? He was second in most goals.
The golden goal. Yeah,
in the golden goal. Yeah, so he became third. Also higher than I had expected, to be fair. But from now on, I'll listen to what Jimbo says.
Yeah, baby.
But super strong team. They're also almost all in the 90, 91, 92. So yeah, let's see what he does the coming season. It's kind of a little bit unpredictable with him, but for sure he's up there.
Yeah. No, and I think he's very dedicated and really competitive, fighting spirit. And that unpredictability is funny that Home Legends is the consistency, and he's a bit more going for that unpredictability, flexibility, and adapting. And I think this season was amazing that he had a bit of a rough start and really fought his way back to second, just ended third on goal difference. So he's definitely, again, going to be up there. Big Wilbert with Tango, very strong team too.
I do see here that he sold during, I guess, to B-sellers, so you have to see if he's going to go hunt for a replacement there.
That's the thing. Maybe with Scrub, because he has quite... Oh no, Tyson went... So going to go away. Okay, never mind. Let's move on to...
Tyson got sold. Tyson got sold to Akane.
Yeah, to Akane, yeah, exactly. So Scrub also has a problem then with left wing. Yeah. Okay, let me talk about Joga Bonito from Sturge. Also very strong team, 998 overall, almost 1,000. also playing that 4-4-2, which was very successful this season. Curious what he will do the next season. He was also pretty balanced squad. A lot of 90, 91, 92, some 89s. Left backs looking a bit weaker with an 87. Of course, McGill, one of the best goalies that you owned previously, 92 in goal. And I think Sturge is also, great manager, super dedicated. He might be looking for a couple of upgrades, especially in the left back, right back areas. Maybe striker Turner, we know him.
Who the fuck is Barry Turner?
Well, he was after the same striker as I was, so he's at least in the market there.
Yeah, I guess he's definitely in the market for a striker. I think really, especially in Diamond, having a superstar 93, 95, 96, right there, that can really make a difference. The good thing about him is that he fully owns his whole squad, so we won't see too many changes. Some more consistency. He doesn't have to deal with Akane problems there. And amazing that as a side that promoted, he ended 4th. Curious to see if they can do that again. Do you think he could, or was he overperforming?
Part of me thinks he's overperforming. Part of me thinks that Sturge is top talented manager playing MFL. He's managed top talent before with, I guess, obviously with Yoga Benito and as a club, but also from the Euros. I know that's last season. I don't really want to think about that tournament too much from a personal point of view, but he won with Germany there. Obviously, one of the clear favourites of the tournament in terms of MFL, but consistent and won it there. He knows how to manage top legendary players. So when you look at the squad list, doesn't have all some of the, he has some 93, 92, 91 rated players, but he has got the 89s, 87s, some of those lower legendaries, but getting the most out of them. So clearly he's doing something right in that department, which any manager, if they can do that, they're surely going to be, overperforming, but in a good way. If he does that consistently, he's just good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he's going to struggle to get the same result, but yeah, I agree. He's got his squad under control. His main liability is McGill. That guy just keeps asking for transfer requests. It's going to be tougher to do it.
Tough to handle. Tough personality.
Yeah.
Then BFC Barcelona.
Now this one's really interesting because, as far as I'm aware, this is one that, and being in the Ballers Discord, I just quickly had a gander at the chats and about the BFC Barcelona chat. They are losing quite a few players here. So, for example, Hobbs and Dobbs, they're both gone for next season. They're 93 rated, 94 rated. O'Neill and Ackerman, I think, is the two centre-back pairings. They're also going as well. So this may impact, which, depending on who talks about it later, the BFC Manchester lineup, because it will feed into that. But I'm really interested to see how this is going to, or not Ackerman, is going to go. I think B Sellers is a great manager. Obviously, they've won the Diamond League before. They came 3rd last year. They came 5th this year, probably underperforming from their standards, but they have got Turto now, which is obviously a huge player that they can play. And Doring at that left wing, 92 rated. You were mentioning earlier, Dia. That's in the Ballers team now. So I know they're looking for a few upgrades in that centre mid and centre back position. So I think for them it's one to let's wait and see who the incomings are for them as a squad. But I think they will for quite a while always be that top half team. I think that if they finish 6th, it's probably disappointment for them and for B Sellers. But you can never write them off just because of the players they've got. Turto being 96 rated, you can't ever turn away from having a player of that caliber on your side. So I think they'll be like top 5 next year. I think if they become any lower than 5th, I think it's a disappointing season.
Yeah, overall wise, also very high team.
Yeah,
20 points more, even more than Sturge.
And it's a collective group there, right? So they've got many minds thinking about how this team should work and function, who they should bring in, but it's just B Sellers who manages it, and he does a cracking job with it. So it's interesting to see how that's going to work for next season.
Which replacing a 94, 93 CM is hard. Like the market for exceptional talent is very competitive, very
the Akane
small.
effect.
So yeah, no, but it's can you even do these players even exist that you can get instead, like a 94, 93,
but not for
rated
stupid price,
CM?
not for reasonable prices. Never. Like,
No,
I don't think that's going to be a thing
just
anymore.
only-
If you're you can only buy from your competition with legendary players, unless it's someone who's progressed crazy from platinum. And if you're buying from competition, guess what? You've got to overpay for it probably, either by actually purchasing them or through percentage wise. And chances are they're not going to loan them to you if they're a competition, because it's going to impact their own performances. But it'd be
and the
interesting.
Lego supply is also like with drops or rewards. It's also not so big. So
well, I guess tomorrow with the rewards, let's see who gets pulled, eh? So
we'll see.
The only question here is always what level does Ronan have left over, because he might just have some extra 93s here left and right, and whether Lopez comes in and is like, I want to buy another top player. That just happens every couple months. He doesn't even. It's interesting as well. Lopez doesn't even have any teams of his own. He only by some huge players. You see him mentioned a couple times, so Streurs, Ferenc, Pilarte. He just owns a couple of big guys that are playing in the PSC DAO team, so it will be interesting to see. Yeah, they're losing a couple of big guys. Sorry, sellers, but he will, I'm sure, figure out a way. It's also interesting that they're the only team that's playing with center forwards. Or at least consistently, and they're even playing with two of them now with Turto and Menard. So, and they seem to be successful with it. It's interesting.
But that's a nice edge, to have with that supply being limited of legendaries to be the only one with CFs. That's great. Pretty smart. Then Meta Mercenaries.
This is it's the biggest team there is, right? This their best overall is 1,037. And I think the next best that we saw so far was Scrub with 1,022. So they're just, Ronan is so far ahead of everyone, right? He's been buying these players, just the top ones, very selectively from very early on. I mean, you gotta have a pretty crazy team if Rory is all the way on the bottom of the list. All the players here are 94, 95s. There's so many 94 and 95s. I didn't even know there were that many in the game if I didn't know his team. It's got only 94 striker. It's super high-end team. Not as much progression maybe as some other teams, which I guess makes sense given how good they already are. And he's got this weird formation, right? The 4-2-2-2.
Yeah, 4-2-2. Yeah.
Because he's got these crazy good cams with Ahmed, Wasim Ahmed, Mr. Mustache, and Mesny. So let's see how that is going to change in the new engine, because I think that was truly the one thing holding him back this season. The formation wasn't working well.
Yeah, and that's a bit of the weakness. Like, he's not flexible enough tactically to do something else. Or he's sacrificing a lot if he plays something else, a 4-2-2-2. This season didn't work, so will it work? In general, it is always odd, also in IRL, to play such a formation, so we'll have to wait to see. But quality player-wise, he has the best squad for sure. Then Vissel London, so Akane's team. So he is maybe the biggest mystery for coming season. What will he do? Definitely bought a lot of amazing talent right now that he can use. I see Dio he put the squad, not the agency, but I know, for example, he has like Heredia, 95, Ruiz, 93 coming in. I think he can build a team similar to Joe B or to Ronin, to like the top 3 teams. So he's going to be one of the big boys. I don't know tactically what he's going to do with that. That might be a big question. Maybe 4-4-2. But I think he has a team that's worthy of fighting for the title if he knows tactically. I'm not convinced yet of his tactical abilities. If he can use all of these amazing players and make a good team out of them. I think that's a big question.
Yeah, he's got a lot of his top players, like you said, he's got Heredia at 95, Letic at 95, Ruiz 94, Jeremy Clare 94. But he's got, Ruiz, who's 94 rated left back. Heredia is also 95 rated left back. But so you probably want to play him left mid, right? That's where Cava utilised him, got great show out of him, great performance out of him. But then Jeremy Clare's 94 rated primary left mid. So you probably chuck Jeremy Clare into Cam, and then you have Letic right mid. That's probably... You don't not play a 94 or 95 rated player when you've got them in your arsenal. So be interested to see the formation he plays. Likely something with 4 back wide midfielders and a Cam. So it could even go for, dare I say, 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2 diamond. Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah, one page down, you see the squad that he's been playing in the Quest games, and that it seems that he's sticking with a 4-1-2-1.
Oh yeah, 4-2-1-2.
You see the overview of the players that he owns, so not the squad but his agency. Because I think for him it's going to be more representative of the coming season, because I'm sure Eric's players are going to go back to Eric. Let's see what Eric is going to do with all those players. Because
that's a big question.
Maybe he should go buy this Diamond Season 3 team. Let's see what Eric does.
Curious.
But this I kind of in these Quest games here, he's been playing a bunch, and I see him always pop up on my feed, but also with Ronin. He's benched Ruiz, so
it's just a shock.
That's a bit weird. Indeed, like benching Ruiz and then having White as a 91 cam. Well, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not totally sure of his managerial abilities. Like, can he really make them shine? All of those. Like, will it be kind of some Real Madrid? Like, you chuck all big stars together, and then in the end they don't produce. That kind of Galacticos era. That could be the case here, but we'll have to wait and see. Very curious. I think this team is the biggest mystery. They have the potential to win the title, or to really end 7 or 8 even, I think. So it can be all over the place. Then
BFC Manchester.
BFC Manchester.
So obviously Dane did very well, keeping BFC Manchester in this division this season, which I know he's very happy with. Obviously out of the playoff relegation, like completely out of that. Was definitely in and amongst it, but he got himself out of it. I was actually messaging him yesterday, and I did message him and say, I said, I've not really been tracking much of your squad changes in the Discord, but will BFC Barcelona be taking any of your players? And he goes, yeah, Barca is going to poach at least one centre mid and one right back. So, it might be Frey and either Azimi or is that Kulik in the centre mid position there. But I think definitely for Dane this year, it will be, can I do the same as last season, I think, with what might be a little bit weaker squad. So I think he's going to be tough. He's going to be there and thereabouts, but towards the end of the table that he doesn't want to be there and thereabouts in. So I think he's going to be amongst it, whether he likes it or not. I think he's probably prepared for that. So I think it's one to watch for the bottom 5 for them this season, but I hope they do stay up because it'd be great.
Yeah, it's tough for him, right? Because he's so dependent on what he loses to be sellers.
Yeah.
But Dane is the master at figuring out how things work. So if anyone can figure out what has changed in the new engine and play into that, it will be Dane. So curious to see how they perform. Definitely, I think, a little bit of a surprise, right, that they stayed in this season, given the ones that are leaving. So let's see if he can do another Houdini act.
Indeed. I really feel, it will be tough, but it really depends on the ball supply.
Oh,
well, Dio, this is your... you should talk about this team, I reckon. The Amsterdam Lions.
Well, I don't know if I should talk about it or one of you, but I know the team maybe too well. For me, also here, this is the team used in Quest games, similar to Akane, because my players were, at least some of them were a little bit all over. Definitely the famous center duo of Hobbs and Dobbs. Amazing duo there in the center midfield, 93, 94, and Dirk, very solid there. I do have some more weaknesses on the left back, right back, I guess. But apart from that, with the new striker in there, Francois, since today, pretty good duo up front. This is the 4-4-2. I still do have the option to play 4-3-3 def. You can see here the agency overview. I do have Domingos as a right winger, 92, and Huber, 19-year-old, 91, left winger. So, and
nice.
Nagum, the third best one, is actually 93 CDM. That those will right now play in my plat team, so could still switch it around. But I mean, Dirk belongs in Diamond, so probably got to go with this, right?
Diamond Dirk. Yeah. That depends a bit on testing, I reckon. Right? Who's going to play where? Yeah.
And like most promoted sides coming into Diamond, Dio, your main objective is just to remain in the division, correct? At the very minimum. Or do you think you could, repeat what Sturge did last year with his first season with Diogo Benito?
I'm hoping for a nice middle of the pack. I hope to be comfortably away from the relegation spots. Doesn't have to be fourth. I don't think that will be hard. There's a lot of teams better than mine out there. I think I'm like 7th ranked or something. So if I can aim 5th, 6th, 7th, that would be really good.
Good.
Then KICKOFF, they are back after being relegated season 1. Got promoted again. So Big T is the owner. Best overall right now is 958. So that's relatively low compared to the other teams, but they did promote.
But it's the other KICKOFF team, huh?
It's the other KICKOFF.
Yeah, the relegated, I think, is staying somewhere in the middle. This one came up from gold.
Oh, I'm confused then. This is another KICKOFF. Yeah. I would still say it's pretty weak, relatively weak side, but still they did well in Plat then, apparently, that they can end second.
And this story is kind of special because if you see their season 1 result was 4th in Gold League 3, which normally doesn't give you promotion, but because my team got promoted there, the Manchester Hive, but then my Plat team didn't get promoted. So after all the playoffs were done, I had to tell, well, I guess then Manchester's staying in gold. And then according to the rules in the white paper, it's the next team after the first 3 that gets promoted. So it was a very interesting promotion. And somehow they pulled it off again by becoming first in Plat League 2. So they're a weird really team. It's a special story.
Yeah, that's nuts. From gold to Plat to Diamond with a bit of luck. But yeah, I think they're gonna struggle in Diamond unless they get some reinforcements. No 90 rated players. Only 89 is the highest, and I think you really need those exceptional talents, those superstars, to perform well in Diamond. Also, a couple of rares. So they're gonna struggle for sure.
I think they'll be a contender for automatic relegation, but it's also worth noting that similar to how the Ballers DAO is, it's not a DAO, but KICKOFF is like a big group of French players. And when you've got someone like Akane who's come in and may have an oversupply of great players, and Joby might do the same if anything, wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some players from Akane filter down to this team. So even though, the highest rated players are 89, wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some low-end 90s that Akane's got just that he can dish out for some revenue come towards this side. So I think they'll definitely be a favourite.
A bit of a boost.
Yeah, if you're in the bookies, you'd be saying, favourite promotion. You wouldn't maybe get some great odds because they'd be favourites, but for relegation, not promotion. But, you could see this change with their squad.
Yeah. That's the story of multiple teams, right? Like the recruitment, can you get the guys in for Diamond to survive?
A fun fact about these guys, though, I was just looking back at Bastise's strength charts for this past season, And for Platinum League 2, they were ranked 10th
Wow.
in the strength
Wow.
charts, while
That's
they
crazy.
obviously just won the entire league against teams like Basel, Eric's, Atletico, Sodas, well, Team Free or FCS
Free
Team
team.
3, $2.5 grand.
Yeah.
Big Wilberts, Atletico Luchadores, Lisbon Kraus. I got the team in there as well, and they just won the entire thing. So with way less quality. So they figured something out. I guess the big question is with the new engine if they still keep it going.
If they keep this squad, their best overall is nearly 20 below what the worst best 11 was from Diamond this season. So they will be, on paper, if they go with the same squad, statistically the worst team to enter Diamond to date.
Yes. Then Team OMF.
Team OMF. Maybe my comment earlier just then about saying if any oversupply from Joe B comes into this team may not happen because this team is mainly owned by Joe B, another French side coming in. So maybe I should have looked at this slide beforehand. But another promoted side who has also done back-to-back promotions, which is really interesting, coming first in gold in season 1, then coming second in Platinum League 1. So something to do with these French clubs and French run clubs being double promoted. It seems to be happening. A slightly stronger squad than K Socios on paper as it actually stays how it is. However, even without K Socios being in there, statistically it would also be the worst best 11 Diamond squad to be in the league. So I think for Team OMF and K Socios, unless major things happens and they are just great managers, which they could be, back-to-back promotions suggests they are very strong managers, they will also be another contender for, I think, the automatic relegation spots.
Yeah, it makes sense. But also they found some magic because they were ranked 7th in the strength charts and became 2nd. So they figured something out as well. But
wouldn't be surprised if there's some, like there's that French Discord community are helping each other out to try and, pull up that French community because, it's Akane who's come in, you've got Joe, you then got K Socios, you've got Team OMF. A quarter of Diamond's now going to be somewhat French managed, which is, if they find out a tactical play instructions that work, and it works across multiple formations, it wouldn't be surprising if they all do well. If one or two of them do well, they might all do well because they sort of pull each other up, which would be really interesting to see.
We need some French intel, I think, or just spy.
I'll learn French for a bit. Bonjour.
Yeah, you need it. Yeah. Well, then the final team we still don't know. So that's actually it's very soon, right? That playoff, I think.
Yeah.
When we were recording between Naples, Gold Feathers, and MFC Roma. I personally hope Fraj will make it after a couple of bit of bad luck in the previous seasons. He has a very strong side with, for example, Vicello as a great striker. On paper, his team looks better than some of the teams we just discussed. And of course, Naples Gold Feathers also has a very good side. I would say like around 90 overall. 980 best overall and MC Roma 984. Yeah, I think it's going to be toss-up who's going to go to Diamond and then like around also kind of this relegation zone battle or 9th, 8th. What do you reckon? Those teams.
I feel like it maybe just feels right to have MSC Roma go in there when their striker's called Diamond. It just feels right that a player with a surname Diamond should be playing in the Diamond division.
It's also a nice clash, the Italian clash, the kind of Napoli Roma, two cities with great football heritage. Yeah. So it's great to have that fight also in MFL.
Yeah, they're super similar, but the 5 at the back, I think. Has not been easy this season, except for the K Socios who have been really good with it. But I mostly heard people say that it is really hard to get that going. So, they're super close. I would think that Naples has the slight offhand in an hour or so from now. But let's see if they change.
I think I think Roma. I think Frag's MSC Roma might do it. But if they do it, I think they need to upgrade that keeper quite urgently, because having your lowest rated player be your goalkeeper in a team where you're going to be facing the likes of your striker deal with 99 shooting, the likes of Ronan's stacked squad, all the other great shooting players that were in the Diamond Division, and then suddenly you've got a 86 rated goalkeeper who's like, help me, in net whilst he's getting bombarded with all these great shooting players against him. But for what it's worth, with the 5-back, I think Franch has run that on a lot of clubs this season. I know when I played in the cup final, he ran a 5-back as well, so maybe he's someone who also is figuring out this 5-back. But yeah, let's we don't know the result, but you will do by the time you listen to this podcast. But good luck to both those teams.
Okay, let's do very quick prediction. Who's gonna win, just for fun?
Who's gonna win?
One team.
Boring me.
What we just analyzed.
Boring me wants to say Meta, but I'm going to throw a huge curveball in here. Akane wins his first full season. Huge curveball. Huge curveball. Huge curveball.
So you feel like he can put all those great talents together.
Is it rude if I say beginner's luck? Is it rude if I say that? So I'll throw a curveball and I'll say Akane. Let's spice things up a bit.
Akane. Yeah, I'm just looking at the list again. Like, Ronin is going to be by far the strongest team. Then after him is Bichona and Barcelona, but we know they're both losing players, so they might both drop a little bit. Right after that, it's Fizzle, and then OM Legend and Club Atletico. Akana is going to have the players. Ronin is going to have to see if this formation ever gets to work. So I'll pick another team. I'll say OM Legend is going to win it.
Ooh.
I also wanted to say OM Legend because of that. What we just discussed, like, he owns his own squad. It's not going to change much. He has less consistency. A lot of other ones have to kind of scramble for new guys. And Akana, I just don't think Akana, as a newbie, between all those seasoned veterans, can handle that. And I think Joe B has that French intel also going on. So I think Joe B too. But I also feel like Ronin, of course, he really needs. He's like he needs revenge, like after this season, redeem himself. I would also say OM Legends.
One quick question: yes or no? Does a French managed team win the Diamond League? Yes or no?
We just said yes.
I'm going to say yes. Oh, you all said yes. Yeah, true. You all said. You all said.
Yes.
You all said. We all said it. Yeah, true. Silly question, really. But I guess part of me really wants to say Meta Mercenaries, but But I thought I feel like it's such an easy answer. Like you're just covering all back. Just say, if you say Meta Mercenaries, you're sitting on the fence with every decision in life because you're like, oh, we could win it, could not. Chances are he probably does. But let's throw a curveball in. So double OM Legends and a Akane.
Yes.
Sacre bleu if they don't win it, boys.
Well,
so we're gonna have 4 French managed teams. Then we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4,
5 American,
4 American and 1 Canadian.
Who's
Scrub?
Yeah,
Scrub's
sorry, Scrub's Canadian. Yeah, sorry, that's my bad.
Canadian, and I guess
no, 5 because you got Sturgeon there as well.
Sturgeon is American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think he's born in London, but he might.
He identifies as American.
So the French are catching up.
Yes. Yeah. French. Indeed. I have a good hashtag already we can use, but we can talk about that. Before we move on to hashtags, we also been recording quite a bit. So I think maybe Jimbo,
Do you want to stop sharing the screen a bit, Campbell, by the way?
Some extra Dirk also. Well, let's see how
I might do orders one.
but we have one final question, of course, as always, is the question from the last guest, and then you can ask the next guest a question. So, and Brennan asks, which new feature should MFL release soon? A critical new feature, like any request?
Yeah, I was thinking about this because I heard Brendan ask, of course. I think one thing that's going to be critical for just the development of just a game and the community, etc., is really increasing the in-app communication so that we don't have to rely quite as much on Discord or at least with offers and being able to write some simple messages, and maybe in addition, maybe you could even embed Discord or something in the website, like how you guys have the streams embedded as well, so that even for people who don't normally use it, they can access it, I guess. Or old games like this always used to have like these forums or bulletin board type of things, but something that moves at least part of the communication, I think, to the in-app. The one downside of that is that the cool side of the whole community, actually, that's a lot happening in Discord. So you want to kind of try to find how do you get the best of both worlds. I think that's an important one. I did think of one other like more like in-game feature, and that is probably the one that should be figured out soonest, is kind of in-match actions, right? That if you get a red card, then this, or I want to set it up in the 17th minute that I'm going to sub my winger who has 30 physical. From a game or engine related perspective, I think that's the one that's most urgent, because a red card just completely destroying the game, that's just not great, especially in e-commerce. So these two, I'd say.
And for our next guest, did you think of a question?
So I was thinking of one interesting equation. So for the success of MFL, should the focus be on increasing features and complexity to go towards the FM crowd? Or should the focus be on how to make managing teams, etc., easier to encourage more multiple teams owned by player? Because there might be some trade-off actually between either route, right? Either you make it more complex or you make it easier, and people like Icana is going to have 200 teams. But if we make it more complex, there's probably no way you could ever do that, right? And he's then the crazy example. But anyway.
Yeah. Interesting. Good question. A bit of a dilemma, like what you pick it as both some upsides and downsides.
Yeah.
I think so. Good to ponder over that.
Hashtag time for this bumper episode, nearly getting on for a full match day experience of going to watch your football team, 90 minutes plus that 15-minute halftime interval we're coming up to now. Hashtag for today, we always like a weird and wacky hashtag. I did prove you've been listening. Hashtag, you've got a choice. It's hashtag Einstein or hashtag Far Cry. In relation to the quote from earlier about insanity, the definition of insanity from either of them, do you prefer the quote from Einstein and his version, or do you prefer that of Vass from Far Cry? So just to repeat his one again, in Far Cry he says, did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. And Einstein's one is just basically that, but on a much nicer and polite scale. So are you a hashtag Einstein or a hashtag, perhaps a hashtag Dio or a hashtag Far Cry? Just want to say a massive thank you, a huge thank you for Dio. It's been 64 weeks since we last had you on, and the preparation for this sort of diamond review of this episode has been phenomenal. And to all of you visual listeners, visual watchers on YouTube, etc. I hope you've enjoyed seeing that as well. It's a bit of a bonus. So, Dio, I want to say a massive thank you for coming on for your second appearance. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, awesome. No, it was a lot of fun, and a lot of fun to go over it and prepare for it a little bit as well. Love these snippets going into detail on the Diamond League and some of the players. Taggart's little newspapers were cool as well.
Oh, really nice, yeah.
And the end of the season.
Yeah, nice.
No, thanks a lot for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll see you in episode, it'll be 138 in 64 weeks' time. So we'll see you there probably in like 2026 or 2027 or something along those lines. But
keep doubling it.
Keep doubling it. Double it, take it or double it and pass it on. So yeah, thank you so much for being on. Hope everyone's season 2 finished great. If you had the playoffs, hopefully you got promoted. If you had the relegation playoffs, hope you stayed in the division, unless you wanted to tank for those extra points. Ooh, reward talk. Not now. But we'll see you on Wednesday for the pack drop stream. If not, we'll see you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk Cast. Thank you for listening.